Welcome to Valheim, a Viking-inspired survival game, where you explore and fight with your friends. But before we get into that, we need a mighty X-Wing warrior, beloved by all and fitting to take on the dangers ahead. And I think I have just a name in mind. Yeah. And of course, a fitting world name for a journey into the Scandinavian afterlife. And here are my fellow fighters. After some initial exploitation of the ecosystem, some liberation of the local wildlife, and after smacking some deer, we craft some basic armor, weapons, and make our way to the first boss. The fight overall was pretty... It was pretty... What the fuck? Okay, enough, old man. Jesus. Anyway, after this somewhat quick and easy fight, it's now time for an epic house building montage. And after placing some beds, this masterpiece of a home is finished. Afterwards, we decide to go exploring over the water using a boat and instantly abandon the house, never to return. Quickly realized though how painfully slow the raft is and just ditch it and go barefoot. We found a black forest relatively quickly and got greeted by the local inhabitants who were no match for us. Is what I thought, but I instantly get my ass handed to me. Twice. We encounter our first bigger enemy and somehow managed to beat the troll without any casualties. Well, that was a one-time miracle. On our journey, we found the marker for the Elder Spawner and made our way towards it. Unfortunately though, it's in Australia. So we set out to traverse the Great Ocean, and while at sea we found a funny looking rock. It had these abyss particles on it, and I luckily managed to grab one. Unfortunately though, Knödel hasn't quite figured out the controls yet and got stuck on a ledge. After some struggle, she luckily reached the ladder at the end of the raft. But in the end she didn't manage to figure out how to get up. So we make our way back and pick her up again. At round 2 of the ocean, we realized we could have just walked around. Upon landing, we decided to liberate a house instead of building one and instantly get attacked. Kite the bear around and definitely don't abuse its AI. And somehow miraculously managed to beat it after, I kid you not, 12 minutes of fighting. After defeating the bear, we decided to quickly loot a troll cave and of course eat shit for it. My buddies helped me, we only lose Knödel.
But it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Okay, maybe we get the troll later, but for now, it's time for some grave robbery. We heroically beat up a skeleton in 1v3, however we get instant karma when they call him back up and we lose Knödel yet again. We avenge our fallen sister and later on encounter a 2-star skeleton. But as Sun Tzu said, if your strength is inferior to the enemies, just run around in circles and let your archer friends take care of it. And who am I to question that? In the next crypt we encountered our first ghost, and being the scientists we are, we just had to see what they can do. So naturally, we threw Knödel at them. Later we tried pulling some skeletons one by one, which of course worked flawlessly. While out looking for copper, we aggroed the entire f***ing forest and got completely swarmed. We went for round 2 on the troll's ass, and for safety measures didn't bring Knödel so no one would die this time around. Unfortunately though, our brilliant strategy didn't pay off, as the gods, or the troll in this case, demanded Klotz as a sacrifice. The house was getting way too cramped, so time to expand. Okay, I'm not doing that again. After a couple of hours building, this is what we got. And look, we even got a little pet rock. Aww. While out looking for copper, we got ganked by a bear, and after a bit of fighting, Wait a second, rewind that.
They've barred the gates. Use the battering ram.
Continue our journey to the Elder and fight our way through the swamp. And I swear to God, you just look away for 1 second, Knödel is gone again. Is this what having kids feels like? Oh, maybe I shouldn't judge though, seeing how legit shortly after I also performed what is known as a tactical Knödel retreat. Eventually we actually reached the Elder. The boss was overall pretty easy, but it just took some time. I mean, the combat looked something like this. Yeah, you get the idea. Sadly, I didn't get to see the end of the fight, but I imagine it looked something like this. riveting. Man, this game is just too easy. Back in the swamp, we realized that poison might be a problem, but luckily no one was lost to it. Twice. We entered the so-called sunken crypts and encountered a 2-star Draugr. Now you might be thinking that it's a good idea to keep your distance from them. Guess who wasn't thinking that? Back home, we got our first monster invasion as indicated by this funny text, which is basically just a lot of monsters swarming your house. We are by now experts in this field, of course, and I easily fight them off. After that, I forged myself a weapon worthy of Gandalf. And I get my well-deserved revenge on all those bear attacks. I mean, just look at those satisfying attacks. Whew. We actually get invaded shortly after that, while I was taking a shit, and I just got back in time, because I heard those rattling bone bags. But enough dilly-dallying, it is time to set sail with a proper boat, so me and Klotz set off into the unknown towards the next boss, the so-called Bone Mass. Not far into our journey, we get greeted by a big-ass snake that we actually beat pretty quickly. We land ashore next to a rundown village that piqued our interest, but turned out to be completely infested with Draugrs who beat us the f*** up. Klotz is lost in action sadly, and I start running and make it out by the skin of my teeth. Just to die to a random troll and a severe lack of skill. Of course, before I could set up a portal, so we have to make our way back there.
That's quite big. Impressive.
We get back and actually manage to set up a portal and clean out the village. We enter the plains for the first time and have our first encounter with the so-called Death Skeeto. And you know what? They actually kinda deserve their edgy name. With morale still high from the Elder fight, we attempt the third boss and quickly realize how horribly underprepared we are. Like, we deal no damage and the boss seems to heal as well.
Yikes.
So we decide to make a run for it and come back later at a, more opportune time. So yeah, peace!